Alright, here we go. The best TT position on a road bike in history. Remco Evenepoel. Now, we've all seen his position on a time trial bike. I've got a video about the top 5 time trial bike positions. I'll lob it in the description. But anyway, everyone knows his position is class. But look at the man. Look at the man go. This is probably one of the only important TTs that's done on a road bike, really. I mean, obviously, Sandline isn't that important for Remco, but for a lot of South American riders, it's the biggest race they do. It's a 2.Pro. It used to be called 2.HC and now 2.Pro. You can see the sort of gears he's pushing. He'll have a 58. He's got disc wheels, pretty close to the frame of his S-Works Venge. I've always wondered if they changed crank length because I know some riders like to have a shorter crank length on TT bike. Like I runs 165s. I don't think Remco does. Looking at the hip angle, it doesn't look like he has a particularly short cranks. I think he's probably on 170s, which is standard road and TT, but I'm not 100% sure. And just his helmet as well is very very good. But you can see here he's incredibly comfortable in this position, and he just looks like he's born on the TT bike, and obviously his hands aren't in as high position as he could be, but everything else is like really, really similar. And obviously he's got the European champions skin suit on him as well. But he looked a lot more comfortable than most people in this position, which I assume that he's ridden a lot of this in just in road races generally. The other position that he did, I think, when he was giving his wrists a little bit of a rest, was this obviously aero position here. This is slightly uphill as well, so obviously aero isn't as important, but he's still going 45, 50k an hour. But you can see, that is what's generally shown as more aero than being on the drops, where you have your hoods on your hands on the hoods and sort of try and get an aero position. 36k an hour, aero is still very, very important, but obviously not as important when he's going 50, 60k an hour. I excluded the hill from this footage because I didn't really think it showed anything. He pedaled with a slow cadence up the hill. He's more like an 80 cadence rider up the hill climb. And obviously on the flat, his TTs when he was junior days, obviously span like 110 cadence because the maximum gear you can have as a junior is a 52.14, which about anything over 50k an hour is about 100 cadence. It's absolutely ridiculous. So he's very used to that, and you can see that's obviously passed on to his time trial ability as a senior when you obviously have a 58.11 or whatever. We're coming up to the final part, but I think it's just, it's pretty incredible. You can see who rides a TT bike more often, who's used to riding an aerodynamic position more often. Like if you're doing a zone 2 riders, try and get an aero for an hour. Try and get on the most aerodynamic position you can get on your road bike for an hour. And if you can hold that, like obviously doing zone 2, then in a race, it just helps a lot. These are the winner. This is the leaders at the moment. You've got Oliveira, and then you've also got Polish national champion, which is Bodnar. It was a bit of a hilly course. It didn't suit him too well. People Ganna was another Italian national champion. I'm not really sure why I was showing this footage. Oh, here we go, because Remco is just about to come in. It was sort of a downhill, uphill finish. The voices are not Dan Lloyd and John Bevan. It's yours truly, Charlie Carpenter Cycling. Couldn't sort out a video from this, so you just got my tremendous voice instead, which I hope you do all enjoy. But we've got a couple of videos that are coming up, so you can see this is the difference. Conti Riley rides for, assume he's the Argentinian national champion. So he has a disc wheel, but and overshoes. I mean, most of the tech these days is pretty standard. Bar tape, don't get it. Bar tape is less aero, take it off. And then also the other thing is how long people go in the extension. If you look, good time trialists, extensions on the skis from minute 1, like minute 10 seconds in, 800 watt surge for 10, 15 seconds, and then straight into the seat. Here he's out the saddle. It's like, mate, you're going 35, 40k an hour here. Like if you look at good Remco, like Remco doesn't do that. I think it's very useful to compare. People who obviously he's not a bad time for us. He looks like he's Argentinian national champion, but Remco is just a cut above everyone else. And here he is. You can see him tucking that head in as well is a super important thing to try and minimize your frontal area. And if we want to have a look at Nairo Quintana's latest TT position, that's generally how not to ride a TT bike. Obviously did well, but he's got numbers. But yeah, you can see here he's properly aero on the hoods and just flat arms 90 degrees to the hoods, and it's all looking nice for the Remco monster. And you can see he's sort of rocking, and when he's rocking, you can tell people are properly on the limit. Doesn't matter who you are, you're going to rock slightly, and that's when you're giving it full. So anyway, cheers for watching. Hope you did enjoy this video about Remco Evenepoel. He smashed the time set by Sevilla by at least 45 seconds, I believe it was. A minute and 8 seconds, sorry, I can't do maths. An average 47k an hour with a fair climb. No power data to really deliver you on the stage that was that useful. I think Oscar Sevilla might have done it, but he was quite far off Remco, so obviously CDA is completely different and weight is different as well, so you couldn't really approximate what it was going to be. It was a flat TT with 70, 75 kilo riders. You know what the CDA is going to be more or less the same. But with Remco is 58 kilos, he must have one of the lowest CDAs in history, apart from maybe Emma Pooley or someone. So yeah. Anyway, cheers for watching. See you in the next one.